So we'll keep it very easy. The first round is questions. I have one question for each one of you. And in the second round, I will encourage you to either enhance the idea that you have heard from other panelists, contradict, and give a better solution what they have talked about. So we'll keep it to 20 minutes. That's the idea. So let's take first round for 10 minutes, another round for another 10 minutes. Sir, you are based out of Singapore. So the first question that I have for you is, what cultural challenges do you see in creating communities, especially when you are dealing with different cultures, Singapore, India, and as you expand it to Gulf, Europe, how are the strategies completely different?
Thank you, Puneet. Namaskar. Good afternoon. My name is Manish Tripathi and I live in Singapore. I've been based out of Singapore for 24 years. So most of my karma bhumi has been Singapore, but I'm very much Indian. The question is spot on. Cultural challenges 24 years back were tremendous. Now actually we see and we say that Singapore is possibly the best Indian city outside India. I mean, it's so much amalgamated into India. Indians are doing very well there. But when we first started, I was lucky to be with IBM that time, and it took me all over the place. In IBM, there's an acronym. They say, "I've been moved." That was the way we joked about it. So I had the privilege of working in Tokyo, Shanghai, Jakarta, Singapore, and of course, India also. Leadership takes a completely different connotation. And I would quote Abraham Lincoln. He said very famously once that no man is good enough to lead the other till there is consensus from the other person to lead him, right? So just because we have the stripes, supposing somebody calls somebody a general manager or a CEO, does not give us the right to dictate the terms. And that was so very evident when we moved around and worked with various nationalities, cultures. For example, I'm sure you know this, I'm preaching the choir. In Japanese culture, when we are doing a presentation, the guy who doesn't say anything actually is the leader. The senior-most guy will sit at the back and say nothing. China is slightly different. They will be somewhere in the middle. They speak a bit, but they won't speak much. In our country, the guy who speaks the most, mostly is the leader. Same in the western part of the world. And we get very confused because we keep making eye contact with people in Far East, with people who are talking, but they are not the leaders. And the leader is just watching and they possibly regroup later and take decisions. So I learned all this the very hard way, made some very bad decisions. But all I'm saying is that it is not so difficult. When people move out, the job teaches you what to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Yogita is from my college, so I'm biased towards her. So she's running an AI ML digital solutions company. So my question for you is, given all the strides, ChatGPT, GPT-3, all the recent buzzwords around AI ML, how do you suggest to create communities, leadership communities using the latest AI?
Okay, so I think this is biased against me anyways. So yeah, so first of all, I'm Yogita. I run a talent solutions company based out of Europe. And it's been a phenomenal journey running the talent, sort of being a player in the talent market. As I think Puneet very rightly said, that talent is the biggest war that most of the organizations are facing. That's one of the challenges that we all are facing. So yeah, and now coming back to the question, Puneet, I think it's very close to my heart because particularly AI, I'm the consumer of AI. We use AI solutions in our organization. And the question is very pertinent because what I've seen is that this usage of AI has made the decision-making very data-driven. So we have, all the metrics which are around data. It eliminates bias. It leads to more diversity and inclusion, which I think, again, came as one of the important points here, that diversity is very, very important if we have to create leadership communities. Otherwise, it sort of becomes stale. It leads to a lot of pressure, and it becomes hyper-competitive and very individualistic. So usage of AI brings in that diversity, eliminates that bias, the data-driven methodology removes any kind of bias, and the leadership communities, the leaders in those communities are created purely on the basis of the merit, the value that they bring, and it definitely leads to performance enhancement and greater employee retention, which again, helps us in winning the talent war. That would be my thought.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Pratik, to you, I know you converted a loss-making company into a profit-making company. It was a great achievement for you. So it was internal community critical for the success or external community? How did you achieve that feat?
Yeah, hi. Let me introduce myself to start with. I'm Pratik Gattani, based out in San Francisco, California. I started my journey from San Francisco only since 2004. Till now, it's almost been going to be 2 decades over there. And I started working for this company called IDC Technologies in the starting as my client, and later basically acquired this company in 2008. And this is what I think, so to answer your question, it was at that point of time, it was basically a loss-making proposition, which I took a hit and took it over. Now, coming back to your question, my first and foremost goal was to basically look at the base level strengthening. That was the most important thing. And second thing, being the individual person, because I ran this company for almost 3 years as alone, because I didn't have the capital or capacity to basically have any employees, my expertise and my experience, which I had learned in the past 3 to 4 years, which helped me basically turn around the company from a loss-making to a profit-making company. So that was the biggest, I would say, strength which I had carried out. Other than that, there has been a lot of support, meaning I do definitely, as you asked about the community, I do advocate strong power of the community, and to survive in this competitive market, we all have to basically adhere to the community and work accordingly. So be it inside also, I didn't have anything much in the inside side because I was a lone player at that time, but the external community was a critical factor at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. So, sir, you are CTO for agriculture business. It is a very diverse market in terms of end consumer. People, if you look at Indian landscape, there are language barriers. People have different languages. Education level is low. So if you have to start a community around it for these consumers, what would you suggest? How to handle such a diverse, less educated, less technical consumer set?
Brilliant. Thanks for checking out on me first. So I'm Dr. Reggie. I have donned multiple hats in my career. I've been in the Indian Armed Forces for 20 glorious years. I'm a pilot, engineer, as the host said that, work with farmers. So very interesting dichotomy is working with farmers is very different from working with any other community. And one of the golden tenets I've learned in the Indian Armed Forces is that leadership is the ability to get extraordinary things from ordinary people. And this is what the tenet was, to get something from the farmer community. I was talking to someone today saying that farmers are the people responsible for getting the food on our table, and they are the most neglected segment in society. So I represent Virentia. We're a technology solutions company. We're there into healthcare, energy. We make huge amounts of water from the air. All these parts of business which Virentia has got benefits the farmer. And we are mainly focused now in India and the Middle East. And I felt the most important course of action for a leader is to stick to the course of action. There are many bottlenecks which will come when you face the farmer community. There are different races, different languages. The issue of trust comes. You see, the biggest issue a leader will be to create an inculcation, a sense of trust. Without trust, there can be no leader. I think I'll send it back to you and we'll take the discussion forward.
Thank you. Do you have any questions for each other before I ask my next set of rounds? My mind is buzzing with a lot of questions.
Yes, in the AI segment, I'd love to know something. You see, what's happening now is there is leadership, and there are many companies. When companies try and compete, the leaders of companies, Infosys or Tatas, they try and compete with each other, especially in the AI space. There is something on ethical, morality, and various other segments. How will you bypass this issue of how leadership should inculcate towards building societies, mainly on a moral fabric, and also inspire and instill leadership in their own organizations?
Yeah, so again, I think a very pertinent thought considering, the examples that you gave. But, at the end, I would say is, whether it's artificial intelligence or any kind of technology, it all boils down to us. We are the creators of these technologies, so we should not, we should know how to use them judiciously rather than becoming a slave of those technologies. Yes, ethics, morals, extremely important, and that is one of the key reasons why leadership communities are needed, so that the leaders, the community of leaders, they inculcate those, those morals, those ethics, and percolate it down within the team members, so that it becomes a part of the organization fabric. And yes, in terms of AI, as I said, the AI does a fantastic job of eliminating the bias, be more inclusive, the programming that we use, that is being used, the machine learning, the NLP, etc., that eliminates bias to a large extent, but again, it boils down to the human who's actually using it to eliminate the bias completely, and that has to come from here and, from here, on how ethically and morally they want to do, how, what practices they want to practice within the organization, how they want to coach their juniors, how they want to mentor the team, and how they want to lead it. What is the message that they want to pass on, to the team members, and that is why it becomes very important to have a community of leaders. As I said, that otherwise it becomes hyper-competitive, it becomes very stressful for an individual, it becomes very stressful for a leader, and it is always said that it's, you're lonely at the top. So you don't want to be lonely at the top. You want to build that community so that you are passing the right message, you are not anxious, and you are not burnt out. And you are in the same state of mind to let the organization grow. That is what, is my thought. Yeah.
Okay, so next, it's a common question for all of you. So with COVID, we went digital, we started loving Zoom and Teams all the more. So the definition of community has changed a lot. It has become more virtual. So given where you are in your businesses, what do you think of the new age of community that has started? Meta, Facebook, Insta, Zoom community, half of the people working from home and sleeping. Is it going to be helpful for you? What transitions or transformations do you see or want from this new age community that is going to help in each one of your business?
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting question, I must say. What happens is, especially when we go into new age technologies, we all heard about how AI is going to replace jobs. But one thing is central. We must never forget the grassroots. The grassroots of how leadership emanates, the grassroots of people, the trust that they have on us, whether it can be political leaders or generals. It is a trust that a person has on a fellow human being. Whether it be AI, whether it be satellite-based technology, whether it be NLP or any newer language, never betray the people who have placed their trust on you. So we in our organization have built up this whole trust platform. There's a TPM trust platform, and we never bypass that. And we have in our software some analytics by which the basics we always comply with. If they don't comply with the basics, it's a no-go for us in the company. And I feel all companies should be having this at the bedrock of what they transform and form.
Very good point. Thank you, sir.
Just to add on this, as Sir said, for any company, people are the most important part right now. No matter what AI or whatever we do, people are the strength of any company, where it lies. With the new age of all this technology enhancements and all these structures in place, human potential is always at the core. And we need to basically nurture and protect the human potential. That's very true. And I don't think so we can avoid that, and we should not. Coming back again, why I'm saying this, because we recently, I think so, have gone through, we faced all this challenge for the pandemic era, and which basically taught us to be more compassionate and have more empathetic values to survive. And we realized that IDC as a company was able to basically emerge pretty victorious just because of the working environment which we have given it to the people. So that's very key. And any company, if they can atmosphere the growth, learning, adaptability, innovation, mutual respect, that's going to be the key in the future. And this has to be there, no matter what AI or what technology we get into, or whatever era we are into, it doesn't matter. But I feel this has to be followed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think just to build on to that and to sort of address the point that you raised on, the after effects of pandemic, which led to more of a hybrid community or more of social communities, virtual communities rather than physical. So I think a couple of points are very important when we are building such communities. Giving that human touch to it is extremely important, and that's where the leaders, they come into the picture. They really need to be, pardon the language, but, storytellers, really effective storytellers where, the people, they buy into that, their vision, the mission statement, they need to live by it. They need to, also walk the talk. So I think that human touch, that leadership community of leaders at the top, it's very important, especially the mental and the physical effects of the pandemic. They're everlasting. A lot of people, they lost their loved ones. That is, a scar throughout the life. It has deeply affected the mental health of people. So in this scenario, it's very important for the leader to be, yes, empathetic, absolutely. Empowerers, they need to empower the people. They need to delegate the power to the team members so that they are able to nurture, grow, and again, grow into that and be a part of that leadership community. And I think it's very important. Empathy is absolutely important. And just wanted to add that I said the same thing when a couple of months back I was speaking to somebody at House of Lords where I was attending the event by WCRC, that empathy is the key. A leader has to be empathetic. They need to understand. They need to address the issues of the people, because at the end, the people are the most important assets for any organization. So I think some of those traits of empowering people, nurturing them, motivating them, and being powerful storytellers, so that the people, you're able to lead along with them. They understand your story, they understand your vision, and they are able to give their 100% to your story and to your vision. That is what is my thought.
Thank you.
I'll just address the hybrid work from home and the community. And for me, the jury is still out, Puneet. I speak out of experience. I can only speak for Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, where we have our business. And I'm also part of, I'm not trying to blow my trumpet, I'm part of an elected member of Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce. I'm in the board, chairman of SME Center there. And this was a huge thing which Singapore government called for roundtables. We had ministers' meetings, what do we do? Do we call everybody back, or we have a hybrid model going on? And I'm going to say this is my personal view. Jury is still out. I find, first of all, the world will never go back to where it is. Hybrid, this Zoom model has given us a very important factor. I get more meetings now. People don't have to travel, so they say, let's come on Zoom or some other team or something, and then we get more interaction. But I find every organization has the 20% very good people who actually take 80% of the load, 40% people who are there, and the 20%, if I call them dead wood, right? This hybrid thingy has given the dead wood a longer time to hide. We just have no idea, are they performing, not performing, till we spend a lot of money on them and find actually they are not. So what we've done in Singapore, at least in my company, everybody's back to work. And they get 4 options, 4 days, once a week, they can work from home. And we don't frown on them if they work from home, but if people who kind of forfeit their work from home option, we find they are mostly the top guys. They will go for a client meeting and so on and so forth. The second part this hybrid model has done is it has definitely created a community of people who prefer to work from home. And they have a voice now. And there is goodness there. There are working mothers, there are people who have ailing parents, who have to tend to other things in life, and that's fine. But real professionals who have managed both of this, people like us, we never had work from home. We managed all this, ailing parents, and I have 2 boys, they grew up. I don't know how my wife managed. So we've done all this with all the challenges, but this era has given them an option of work from home. So the jury is still out for me. We'll see how it works out.
Thank you, sir. Any last comments? A fantastic discussion.
Yes, thanks for the option for giving me last comments. So some central issues I just wanted to bring it here is that when we try and lead and inspire people, we must never manage or manipulate them. Inventories can be managed. People cannot be managed. People, must be led. And always I believed that the mediocre teacher, he tells, and the good teacher explains, and the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great leader inspires. When we build communities out of people, the leader, we must know the way, we must go the way, and show the way. These are important because otherwise you'll be like ants without the queen ant in the community. All the worker ants go helter-skelter. That's exactly what's going to happen in any community which does not have a strong visionary leader.
Thank you, sir. Very good point.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to, add to this. Having a vision is important, and I think the leader needs to have certain traits. In fact, not the leader, the leadership community. It's absolutely important that, as I said, the leaders, they should be an inspiration for the team. They should lead the team, and they should lead by example and walk the talk. And a lot of statistics have proved that people who are engaged, the leaders who engage with, their people, are the organizations, those are the organizations where, money every organization makes, the profits are going to be there. But then, how do you do it? That's very important. And I think other point which I just wanted to say is that this is the era where the organizations, they should be driven by a purpose. The leadership should be driven by a purpose. And what I have observed from my experience and what I have read, most of the people want to attach themselves to a purpose, because life is so unpredictable. As I said, this is the pandemic, so many people lost their lives, no one ever imagined. I have personally lost, people close to me. So people want to now attach themselves to a purpose, and the leaders and organizations which show that purpose, are the ones which are, sort of more successful. So I think corporate social responsibility, I think it's a loose term, but, something around that is, there should be a binding purpose. That is, I just wanted to add on to it.
Thank you.
And just to add, as she said, a focus approach is very important. If you don't have the focus approach, I don't think so you can succeed anywhere in life. And that's the key for any business or any human or any person. So just to add on to her thing.
Thank you.
I have nothing to add. There's so much spoken about leadership, right? This is one of the possibly most often spoken. I have just one doubt. Maybe you can help me or anybody else. There are two kinds of leaderships we have seen. One, they say leaders should not be visible, barely visible. They take the community lead, and when the work gets done, the credit goes to everybody else. You know, that kind of leadership. I will not take examples, but you know what I mean. And the one is where the guy is in the face, like Steve Jobs kind of leadership, right? And just get things done, no tolerance of mediocrity, cannot suffer fools, and make things happen. Which one is good today? Which one should, or is it too large a question? It depends on various companies or scenarios. I'm still not able to figure out which one we should follow, even though I've been kind of leading my company for more than 10 years. But sometimes we have to become one and sometimes the other. So this question kind of burns in my mind all the time.
That's a very good question. Probably when we are doing the networking event, please reach out to each other to answer that question. That will be a very good icebreaker when you start doing networking. I want to stick to the time. Very good question. I have an answer, but I want to do more one-on-one. Don't want to take the time. First, let me applaud the audience who have not been watching their mobile phone during this time. So really appreciate it for your patience. So a big applause for the audience. And I know that a lot of you are probably more accomplished than people here, and still you are so respectful for us and listen to us so intently. So my sincere thanks to you. Thanks to you for being dot on time. I wish our TV debates are like this, more mature and disciplined and time. There is a lot to be learned from this community itself, what we can do with our typical debates that we see. So thank you so much. This was very insightful.